everyone. Thank you so much for joining this week. I have a new special guest. Her name is Becca, also known as Trading Card Chick. I've seen her around at several different other uh, YouTube channels and other content creators' channels. Her interviews about how she got into this hobby I thought were very interesting, and I was very hopeful to get her on and ask her a few questions. So I'm really glad that she took the time to join me today. First of all, Becca, thank you so much for taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. So, if you don't mind, could you go ahead and retell your story about how you got into the hobby? Essentially, what was the incident in your life that led you down this path of being a hobbyist and a collector?
Sure. So in 2019, my father in law, who's my husband's dad, passed away, and he was a big collector his whole life. And especially when he retired in his early 50s, he started really buying again and then buying all the cards that he couldn't get as a kid. So his collection really grew at that time. So he passed away in 2019. And when my husband's mom moved in 2021, November of 2021 is when we moved all the boxes of cards to our house. And it quickly filled up a guest bedroom. Um, yeah, so that was the first that we saw of the collection. It's not really something that we did with him, so I knew nothing about it.
Yeah, did you say you thought at one point it was probably over 100,000 cards?
I do, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely over 100,000.
So yeah, just imagine just suddenly randomly inheriting over 100,000 cards and for us that's been in the hobby for a while, it's like, oh, that would be so much fun. But for somebody like you who knew nothing about it, I can imagine the daunting task that must have felt like to receive all of that at once.
Definitely. And the siblings, my husband and his siblings, they all just wanted to sell it. So I wanted it out of my guest bedroom, and I'm the one who had some extra time. So I started going through it and just simply one by one getting familiar with what was in the box, kind of going on eBay and seeing how much some of the cards were worth. And that snowballed into a continuation, like a fun treasure hunt of um, months of spending time with the cards and getting to know them. And something that came out of it was a way of connecting with my father-in-law that I couldn't, with him being not being here anymore. So that was really cool, and it has snowballed. I've learned so much. I've sold quite a bit, but still have a long way to go. Have met some great people, and I'm just really fascinated with the hobby and enjoying it.
Well, it's yes, that's fantastic. Do you recall some of the things that you remember back in? You said it was 2019. Is that right? So it was kind of before the pandemic and then the peak of sports cards interest among a lot of people out there and among social media. So around that time period when you first started, what were some of the things, some of the points that you saw that were really interesting and sort of made you gain more interest in it and latch on to wanting to learn more about it?
Well, we didn't get the cards until 2021. So when
Okay.
I jumped in, I was surprised to see how much it had boomed in 2020. That
Okay.
made
Yeah.
sense, and that was exciting to see because the values went up quite a bit in a couple of years. Um, I'm trying to think of what else. I was surprised that the hobby was alive. We really thought that this was a dying hobby and that kids were only into electronics, and so I was surprised to see such a live community.
Yeah. And probably thinking most cars still only sold like maybe 5, $10 a car or something like that.
Oh yeah,
And then,
yeah. I had no idea. Some of the values really did shock me. Which we don't have anything really crazy. We don't have any of the huge, massive rookies, but we have. I feel like my father-in-law was trying to collect a little bit of everything. We have football, baseball, basketball, hockey, and a little bit of non-sport. So a little bit of everything, and all the way back to the 50s or a little bit before. So
So it wasn't like it didn't look like he was like necessarily completing sets or things of the nature. It was just a lot of random stuff and, like you said, a little bit of everything. Yeah.
he actually was trying to complete sets. We do have a lot. That's really what it is, partial
Okay.
and complete sets. More complete in the 70s, but he really was trying to get something from every set. So I am trying to, that has made it complicated on how to sell it.
Yeah.
Because yes, you have some nice stars that I could sell by themselves, but some of them are better off sticking with the set and selling that and trying to move that together. So,
Is it a lot of raw stuff too? I imagine.
yes, a lot of raw stuff. We only had one box of graded cards, and there are some that I think we should still get graded. Um,
Mhm.
but it's mainly raw.
So, talk about it now in terms of what what are you kind of looking at now in terms of, you said you learned a lot and got a lot of gained a lot of interest in the hobby. So, what about you personally? Are there things in the hobby that really interest you personally? Things that you really started diving headfirst into in terms of either collecting or selling or even just sort of following and talking about on a regular basis?
So it's kind of crazy because I feel like I have a card show in my guest bedroom. So it's been hard for me to add to that collection because I feel like we have so much and I'm trying to get it out, not bring more in.
Hmm.
But there is one thing that finally interested me um, in about May of 2022. And that is Stranger Things cards. I just finished watching the season four at that time, and um, honestly, there's not that many of them, so you don't see them very often. I don't see them at shows very often, but that was the first thing that made me interested in actually hunting for that. So there's that. I also like the Dallas Cowboys because I'm born and raised in the Fort Worth, Texas area. So I really like looking. My husband and I like looking for Micah Parsons cards and um, CeeDee Lamb.
Very nice. I'm from Oklahoma, so I do like to see Lamb too, of course, and
Yeah.
rooting him on, and hopefully he has a great career from now on. I mean, he's had a really nice first few years in the league, of course. So, and I laughed at Stranger Things because I had Dustin, Sports Card Dad, on. I interviewed him, and that was one of the things he went on about is his love and passion for one of his non-sports genres he loves are the Stranger Things says, yeah.
Yes, we believe in that show for sure. We like it a lot. That's the one thing for sure.
And so a large amount of your time is still dealing with the initial collection that you inherited from your father-in-law. Um, but that's also led. I've noticed that you've gone out to lots of card shows, and like I said, you're out on doing some content creating and things of that nature as well. So talk about how that has kind of gone past couple of years. What are some of the card shows you've gone to, and what has your overall experience been at some of those?
Yeah, I just see a lot of opportunity in this hobby. There's so many different businesses that you can make with it, and so right now I'm really just still learning. So I go to card shows to learn, to see what's out there, see how people display things, and to meet people. I started probably just this time last year, started reaching out to some people for advice in the sports card world. And one thing led to another. They introduced me to other people, and that has just grown. And everyone has been so kind and welcoming. And so I think I went to my first card show, the Dallas Card Show, in May of 2022. And then quickly decided to go to the National in Atlantic City, New Jersey. I went there by myself and not, I didn't feel alone because I did know several people there, and yeah, everyone has been really nice.
Well, great. So, what would you say? What were your overall thoughts about the Dallas Card Show versus the National? What were some of the things you enjoyed about the Dallas one that was different about the National, and vice versa?
I like the convenience of the Dallas Card Show, obviously, because it's it's just a 40-minute drive. But as far as inside, everything's pretty packed. The tables are packed, and um, that really did set me up for expectations at the national, because I feel like although it was on a bigger scale, a lot of the tables they felt familiar and comforting to me because I don't know, I enjoy looking at uh, vintage cards and just seeing what is in people's cases, and it just, you can connect and relate to some of the cards whenever you can identify them. So that was fun. But obviously at the national they had, Tops had a huge display. All the big displays were a shock to me. I didn't think that it would be that grand. And again, with the Stranger Things, I was surprised that Zero Cool had a big old booth there, or, display really. And they had packs that they were giving out that you had to wait in line for. So that continued my Stranger Things love.
Well, okay, so I have to ask. I mean, what have you gotten anything cool in terms of Stranger Things so far?
My favorite card is I can't remember what year, but it's a Topps Millie Bobby Brown 11 autograph.
Hmm.
And so that is my prized possession currently. And
I
I'm
would just.
waiting. I got a redemption card from that Zero Cool booth at the National. I'm waiting for that new box to come out, new set, but they're taking a long time.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Well, that's the thing with redemptions in almost all products.
right.
So yeah, so I don't know. What are some of your favorite things, ideas, I don't know, sets, or are you partial to parallels? Are you partial to autographs? Are you partial to any particular type of things as you've kind of gotten to know more about the hobby over these past couple of years?
Honestly, parallels annoy me. It's hard for me to keep up with. That's why I say that I like vintage, because it's just like it is what it is, numbered in the set, and that's it. Um, Although it's exciting having these one of ones and different parallels, it's overwhelming to me. So that's why I shy away from the modern. I'm just less. It's overwhelming. It's too overwhelming for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know. I'm still trying to figure out what I really want to collect. So I feel I really admire collectors and respect them. I don't want to call myself a collector, but I have a collection, quite the collection, and I'm just open to see where it takes me.
Well, great. Well, and you're not the only one that gets overwhelmed by all the parallels and everything that's out there right now. It's overwhelming to a lot of people, even people who've been doing this for decades.
Yeah.
It's the feedback I get from a lot of people I talk to, and I've been collecting for over 10 years now myself. And I remember when I was doing it, there were still maybe only like four or five parallels, in Topps Chrome or those type of products, and now there's like over 40 or whatever it is at this point. So
Wow.
it's quite a bit different for sure than it was even just like 7 8 years ago or whatever. So
Right.
I'm always interested in talking to people who are kind of coming into it within like these past couple of years and getting their thoughts on what's out there and things that they like and don't like. It's because if you talk to people who've been doing it for a really long time, they all kind of have the same answer, which is I miss it when you only had like two, three parallels, uh, and that the chases were pretty easy to figure out what to go after, and it was pretty transparent in terms of how actually rare, inserts and parallels and all this stuff were within products, and it's just
Right.
so vastly different nowadays than it was not too long ago.
Yeah. I can only imagine. I mean, it's overwhelming enough for me. So
um, let's see, and I wanted to make sure I get all my questions. Yeah, so anything else in terms of well, outside of things like Instagram, are you becoming more active in other selling sites or other just social media sites and places for people in the hobby to sell, or even just to go hang out and chat and things of those nature?
So around this time last year, I got onto Clubhouse. It's an app where you kind of, it's like a voice group chat where people brainstorm. And I was on there because I'm a realtor. And so this time last year, started looking for a sports room to ask some questions. And I found one. And those people that I met there the past year, I go several times a week to that room. And I'm able to chat and meet people and talk about the hobby. So that's been really cool to me. Um, eBay is my favorite, honestly. I have a thing, I know that most people hate the whole process of uploading and selling that way, but I enjoy it. It does take a very long time. That's the only thing I don't like, but
Hmm.
I love the whole shipping and packing and taking it to the post office. So that's what makes me think maybe I would like to do consignment or help other people in my situation
Hmm.
at some point. Um, I applied for Whatnot and I got approved, but that's overwhelming too because of the way that my cards are all in like different years and sets. I'm not at the point yet where I have like a box of singles that I would want to run through. So
Hmm.
I haven't taken the dive into that yet. I'm setting up my first card show or first table for first booth at the Dallas Card Show in March. So I'm
Cool.
finally feeling ready to do that.
Great. Well, I still have lots of friends that go out to the Dallas Card Show, and I want to go back one of these days. I haven't been in a while, but I'll definitely let everyone know that you'll be out there. Um, and I don't know, what are your plans? Do you think long term, or even not even necessarily long term? Let's just say for the next couple of years. Do you think you'll still kind of do this? I assume kind of when you can during your free time, or is this something that you're really thinking about passionately doing? You know, for a long time coming.
I see it being a hobby for the foreseeable, or I don't see an end to it, is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
um, because it has really filled in the gaps of my um, downtime, and
Hmm.
I enjoy the organization of it. I enjoy, like I said, the people, but I don't know what it is. I can't really put my finger on it, but I really am happy that I found it. It is a gift
Hmm.
that keeps on giving from my father-in-law, and so I don't see an end to it. Um, I see that there's a lot of potential. I still don't know where I'll go or what I'll do, but I'm just open to it.
Well, great.
Yeah,
Well, yeah, I guess a blessing in disguise. Yeah,
right.
it seems like. Because once again, I couldn't imagine how, in a lot of people's cases, how overwhelming that probably was to come across something like that all at once, and how you hear all kinds of stories about people coming into collections. They don't want to have to deal with it, and they just try and sell off everything that they can to whoever will come and just buy it from them for 40 or 50% of what it's worth, most likely. So for you to kind of look into it and decide to kind of take on the task yourself, and really leading to this sort of newfound interest into something new in this hobby. um I just find the story really compelling, and I really hope that people hear your story, and realize that there's all sorts of ways to kind of get into this hobby, and there's all sorts of ways to react to something that happens to you that you're not expecting, in a way.
Yeah, and I don't blame anyone for choosing to sell to an auction or sell the whole collection at once. But for me, my family's not in a rush on it,
Hmm.
and I've I've just learned. So I don't know. I've connected with my father-in-law so much through it, and so I really admire him and the investment that he made, and I just want to make him proud in the way that I handle them. And so I don't know. That's why I'm really trying to do the right thing with them. And I again am thankful that this is now something that maybe I can pass on or like carry on his legacy.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
All right, so you told me you might have a few things to show or to talk about that you still
Sure. Yeah.
have. Yeah.
So one of the things, he has a lot of vintage basketball, and one of these boxes has a lot of basketball inserts from the '90s, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
and then some other pieces from different sets. But one that I saw that you might be interested is this '61 set,
Mm-hmm.
and so I'll just show some of the cards that I have of that. You got Boozer.
Very nice.
I don't know any of these people, but I just
Yeah.
recently picked through them. We got Kerr.
Johnny Kerr. Yep. Yep. Bob Leonard.
Um,
Yep. Thomas Sherry.
I don't know how to say all these names, which is embarrassing,
It's
but
okay.
piece
Yeah.
by piece. About, and that's another thing. Like, there's so much history in these cards, so that has been fun for me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's why I also like vintage, because it is what it is. These people, their careers are probably over, so not much is going to change.
Right. And yeah, like and as you alluded to, I mean, the reason why I have sort of attached myself to collecting 61 Fleer sign cards is sort of that connection to basketball history, which has always been my personal favorite sport ever since I was a little kid. And so the 61 Fleer set is still my all-time favorite set, and it has so much loaded basketball history when you just go down and just there's the obvious guys like Bill Russell and Bob Cousy and
Mhm.
Jerry West and all those, but a lot of those guys that you held up, just if you just go look at some of their stories and their history and their contribution to the game of basketball, even a guy like Johnny Kerr, who was a very good player, but he became, of course, the Chicago Bulls broadcaster post playing days, and that's
Wow.
what everyone just remembers him and loves him for is his contribution of calling all the Chicago Bulls games back when Michael Jordan was playing.
Nice. I did not
So
know that.
yeah, and so that connection with guys like him and Jack Twyman and Wayne Embry. Wayne Embry, was one of the cards you held up,
Mhm.
was one of the first African American team executives.
Wow.
So there's all kinds of guys like that in that set that just have a real major impact in the sport of basketball and why I personally love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I'm always learning something new.
Yep.
Another set that I like is this bold, all the bold colors in this set. I don't. You tell me what year this is.
I think that was
60.
71.
Oh yeah, you're right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's some that aren't in the best condition, but fun.
Yeah, some 72 tops. Yep, early 70s basketball. There's a lot of really fun, cool looking sets in that era, and I think yeah, if you talk to lots of vintage fans, that a lot of them will love talking about those early 70s basketball sets. There's a lot of fun, a lot of colors in
Hmm.
those sets that make them, I think, long lasting, and forever will be sets that people will chase.
Definitely. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I got a whole box, but I can't go through them all, so that's a little.
Well, that's cool. Yeah, and you're right. It's complicated getting those vintage sets and knowing exactly what to do with them. And yeah, I mean there are people that will probably tell you probably should sell off the Hall of Famers and then just sell the rest as lots, as set starters and on eBay and other places. But at the same time, yeah, I mean, you probably get your best bang for your buck if you try to and sell everything at once or try and complete those as sets and sell them off as completed sets. And so, you can go back and forth about what the right strategy is. And of course, you've talked about it, how you're not in a rush to sell everything. So that gives you an advantage of taking your time and just seeing, if I'm sure if things can come up that will help you complete the 72 basketball set, for instance.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good idea. I'm always tossing around and debating back and forth of what to do. And who knows if in a couple months I'll finally be done with it and sell it all as a lot. But I mean, whichever way that you end up selling it is fine.
Hmm.
I am just enjoying it along the way.
Hmm.
and I'm surprised how long it has taken so far. But I've learned so much, and a lot of the time has been spent just getting familiar with what I have. So I don't know. We'll see what this year brings.
Yeah,
See how much I can get it moved, and see what if any other interests spark.
absolutely. And then you said you also still have tons of vintage baseball, vintage football, and things of that nature. Are there things that, like, if you're trying to highlight some of the things that may still be in the collection that you're trying to, sell, and but also learn more about as you go along, like, what would you say to people that are interested in what you might still have, or might still have available?
Yeah, I'm open to making a deal. Um, I did sell most of a big portion of the vintage football a couple of weeks ago with someone who's local. Um, but I've found a lot of cards along the way that I think would be wise for us to hold on to, like a Wayne Gretzky rookie and Luka Doncic silver prism rookie.
Hmm.
So that's been fun to hold on to. But yeah, it's hard for me to show you guys everything,
Right.
but I'm welcome. I welcome people to message me if you're looking for a certain thing, or especially if you're interested in some sets. I'm happy to show you what I have from that set.
Great. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much once again for taking the time to come on and to share your story one more time. Is there anything else you want to make sure to mention? Anything else you want to make sure to plug? You talked about the Dallas Card Show you'll be going to in March, and the sites that you're on now that you're trying to sell. And yeah, I just want to make sure we hit everything, and want to make sure help you out as much as possible to helping to finding these cards a new home, and to help you with you know the 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 end game of what you want to do with your father-in-law's collection.
Thank you. Yes, I think Instagram is my main place. A link to my eBay is there. And then I'm also on TikTok for fun. It's all under Trading Card Chick. I will be at the March Dallas Card Show. That's probably the next show. And then I hope to be at the National in Chicago this year. I really think that's probably all in my plans for now.
All right. Well, fantastic. Well, thank you once again for coming on, and really enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you too.